Hello dear students, this is PDG ma'am and this is the fifth video on Entrepreneurial Opportunity, Unit 1 of your Class 12 Entrepreneurship textbook. As I always say, this is a continuation video, so it is advisable for you to go through the previous videos, that is video 1, 2, 3 and 4, so that you can understand what has been already discussed and you can relate to the concepts that had been previously discussed. In the last video, that is in video 4, we were discussing about the microenvironment and the macroenvironment, and we had just touched the macroenvironment in the last video, and we had just introduced the concept, the pestle model. Now, before I go into this video, let me just make a correction, which is in regards to the last video, that is video 4. While I was discussing the microenvironment, I by mistake have mentioned macro in place of micro. So that's a mistake on my part. I hope the ones who have watched the video, you have been able to judge where I went wrong. And I'm also sure that you have understood that that's a mistake and that didn't bother you much. So when I'm discussing micro elements or the elements of the microenvironment, then obviously if I have mentioned macro, that's a mistake on my part. So sorry for that. I did not delete the video because it's quite difficult to delete a video and re-record a video of 15 minutes. So I'm just making a correction. I'll mention it in the notes, that is the comment section, and I'm saying it here so that when you watch this, you understand where I went wrong. Okay, now continuing with this video, here we are concentrating on the pestle model, which is a part of your macro environment. Okay, so macro environment, we have these elements there. The acronym that we use is PESTLE, where P stands for political, E for economic, S for social, T for technological, E for ecological, L for legal, and thereby it's the PESTLE model. Okay, so these are all factors and forces and conditions which affects a business in general, but which are absolutely beyond the control of a business. Okay, and there is a term used in this regards, which is pestle analysis. Now, what do we mean by pestle analysis? Pestle analysis will be a tool used by an entrepreneur or a marketer to analyze and monitor, to find out, the various environmental factors that will affect the business. So it's a tool to find out the factors which will have a bearing on the enterprise and the business. And why are we so bothered in finding out the factors? So that we can find out the possible threats and opportunities, weakness and strengths that are there. Threats and opportunities will be a better term. Okay, threats and opportunities always come from the environment. Strengths and weakness are more or less your personal things of the entrepreneur, strength and weakness of his business. So let's not use the term weakness here. We will use the term opportunities here. Now we will concentrate on each of these forces or factors or elements also you can call them. Now let's take up the first one, which is the political part. Now, political environment will include what? It will include the taxation policy, government stability, and foreign trade regulations. Now, see, all these things will have a bearing, will have an impact on the business. Okay, suppose the government is not stable. You're constantly finding the government to change. You had this party and then some other party have just come up. So that will affect your business because there will be different ideologies for two different political parties. What one will say, the other might not approve that. So obviously there will be a change. Okay, but if you're functioning in a very stable place, stable country or stable region where you don't have this problem with the government being very unstable, that is good for your business. Now, foreign trade regulations, if you find the government being very liberal with foreign policies and foreign trade regulations, then imports and exports will become easier. You will have ample scope to increase your business. Open door policy, okay, allowing multinational companies to operate in multiple countries, so this will also affect your business. Similarly, taxation policy. Every year we find some changes in the taxation policies. Taxation policies might be, they might become relaxed, they might become rigid. It will obviously affect your business. The next one is economic, which includes interest rates, inflation, business cycle, unemployment level of the country, disposable income of the people, income which is there with you, which you can dispose of, which is left with you to spend as per your wish. Okay, interest rate, inflation, demand is more, supply is less. There could be deflation scenario also. Business cycle, boom period, depression period, all this is bound to affect your business. Now, consider the present scenario itself, this lockdown period and everything. See, it's affecting all the business because business cannot be conducted in the normal manner. Some of the business cannot be done at all. So their economy will suffer. That this is a depression period. It is affecting not just one business, not just two business, not just a regional business or a local business, but this is worldwide. But the problem is that it is beyond our control. There is absolutely nothing that we can do about it. Okay, the only thing that we can do is adapt to these. Try and adapt to the situation. Try to come out with some solutions so that you don't suffer huge amount. Okay, so you always get these examples around you. The good thing about your entrepreneurship subject is that you have ample practical examples. Just keep your eyes and ears open. You can relate this subject very well to what is happening all around you all the time. Okay, next we have social, which includes people. Okay, their attitude towards work, their lifestyle. Different people will have different mentality, different attitudes. Lifestyles will differ according to your region, according to your occupation, according to your income. So all these things will also affect your business. Technological changes, suddenly technology changes. Some of the businesses will suffer, some of the businesses will try to gain out of it. So technological impact is a huge impact on business, and in today's world this is very important. We cannot just ignore the technology part. Next we have ecological. It considers the ways in which the organization can produce its goods and services with minimum environmental damage. This is becoming very important now because, when we talk about development, it should be a sustainable one. It's not that I have the resources and I'm just using it up, not caring about what my future generation will be left to. No, you will have to use it in the best possible manner. You have to save them also so that the future generations don't suffer. And you will also have to look into the environment part, that you are not damaging it. Okay, pollution needs to be controlled, pollution needs to be reduced. You have to be absolutely careful about it. So these factors will also affect your business. Then we have legal. So the rules and laws applicable in a country, which could be as regards to monopoly. This is a very easy to understand, like Monopoly Restrictive Trade Practices Act. Previously, business people could enjoy monopoly, but nowadays this thing has been to an extent stopped. Not to an extent, to a great extent. Why? Because when monopoly means one, a single seller, and buyers are all depending on him, or one entrepreneur and lots of customers, so that entrepreneur is in a full position to exploit his customers. But that is not desirable. That is the reason government is not approving monopoly anymore. Okay, so this is about your pestle model, which is very important for your board's syllabus, for your board's examination. So give a lot of importance to this part, the pestle model, in detail, these elements. Try to gain some examples, try to, get some examples which you can quote in your examination. So that is very much required. The next thing that we will do is problem identification. Now, before we go into the term problem identification, what we need to understand is the meaning of problem. Now, what is a problem? Problem is an obstacle, it's an hindrance, it's a roadblock which will stop you from achieving what you had wished to achieve, which will, stop you from executing your plans, and which will also force you to think differently. So everything is not bad about problems. Problems gives you opportunities. Remember, the thing is that you need to identify the problem. Now, what is identification of problem? The moment you realize that there's a roadblock, that is the moment you identify a roadblock, okay? It's said that you have identified the problem. Why? Because roadblock is your problem. So once you know that, okay, this is a problem that I might face, that means you have automatically identified your problem. Now, why are we so bothered about problem identification? What are the objectives of problem identification? We should clearly state the problems. We shouldn't be confused about what the problem is, because this is the first thing that we are doing. Okay, so if we are making a mistake in understanding the problem, or in clearly stating the problem, then the next steps cannot be correctly done. So we have to clearly state the problem. We have to be very specific with the problem. Next is identify the target group facing the problem. Now, problems are not always general. Problems can be specific, like this particular category is facing the problem, okay? Or this age generation is facing the problem, or people of this particular area is facing the problem, or people below the income of this, below income level, this is facing a problem. So you have to identify the target group or the specific group who are facing the problem. Next is what? Find the market acceptability of the solution to the problem. Now, when you are an entrepreneur, whenever you have a problem, the next thing that you start doing is you start solving. You start thinking so that you can come out with a solution for that problem. Now, you think you have got a solution. Now, what you should do is you should compare it with the environment. You should see whether your solution is acceptable in the market in which you want to operate. So that needs to be found out. Now, uses of problem identification. Now, once I have identified the problem, it will help me. It will help me in which sense? It will help me bring out new products in the market. I know the problem. I have solved it. Problem will always be as regards to either product or a service, because that is what I'm supposed to do. I will either make a product or provide them with a service. So whenever there is a problem, whenever I identify the problem, I come out with a solution in the form of a product or a service, which is new to the market and which was required also by the people. Understand the problems and needs of the market. Until and unless you identify the problem, how will you know what people need? What are the demands of the people? Because needs and demands and not having that is actually the problem. So you have to identify the problem to understand what people need. It will help you be creative. You will come out with a lot of solutions, creative solutions. You are making new products, you need suppliers, you need employees, you need distribution people, you need transport people. So obviously, employment generation scope is increasing. And more the employment generation, more shall be the national income. You are making products, you're selling them, you might also export your products. People are getting employment. So overall, the income of the country is increasing because of identifying the problem.